subscribe on our YouTube channel. It will be posted there as well. At the end, we will have a question and answer and discussion session. So please use the Zoom chat or Q&A to drop your questions, suggestions, thoughts, ideas there. We'll go through those at the end. And also keep an eye on the chat for a coupon code for a 1-month trial, free trial of our RAMP accessibility software. I think that concludes all of the housekeeping on my end. We are joined today by Accessible Web CEO Peter Jewett to talk to us about the current and future state of AI in accessibility.
Cool. Thank you, Heather. Ben, you can start recording. All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining. Give me a moment to get my speaker notes up. Of course, this is not. Give me one moment here. There we go. All right, take two. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. I am Peter Jewett. I'm the founder and CEO here at Accessible Web. And today we're exploring how AI is transforming digital accessibility, what's working, what's not, and what's coming next. So AI is changing accessibility faster than any technology shift we've seen in a decade. It's reshaping how people access content and how teams create content. AI, everyone's excited about it, but obviously it's also coming with real risks, errors, bias, overconfidence, to name a few of them. To make sense of it all, we tend to look at AI in accessibility in two distinct lanes. The first is user-side AI, so AI that helps end users with disabilities access content. This includes generative AI built into assistive technology, visual interpretation, caption, summarization, cognitive support, and more. And then the second lane is creator-side AI, so the AI that helps teams build more accessible digital experiences. So this includes automated WCAG detection, structure suggestions, AI-powered design inspection. Both lanes are evolving quickly, and they solve different problems for different user groups. So first, we'll talk about user-side AI. What is user-side AI? It's AI that is embedded into or adjacent to assistive technologies. So some examples, you can think about AI describing images, real-time captioning, summaries for cognitive access, and speech assistance that adapts to atypical patterns. So the focus here is on independence and improving access in real time. A couple real world examples. Be My Eyes, we love Be My Eyes. They have a tool called Be My AI, and users can take a photo. AI gives a detailed visual description. So this is in addition to the typical Be My Eyes where volunteers, actual humans, help to describe what folks are recording with a camera. Google Meet, YouTube live captions, another example. AI generates live captions and translations. It's probably doing it on our YouTube video today if people are watching on YouTube. And then Microsoft Seeing AI, another tool that can read text, recognize scenes. So these tools help people understand the world more quickly and independently. But there's, research is showing there's risk here. Some common problems are AI can hallucinate and hallucinate descriptions, and in some cases, hallucinating descriptions can be dangerous for the folks using these AI tools. It can produce ableist or biased language. It can often struggle with many disability types, especially motor, speech, and cognitive. And users may not be able to verify whether the output is correct. So, using the Be My Eyes example, for something that's really important, you can use the AI version, but having a human available to actually verify that it's correct is going to be really, really important. So while user side AI can empower people, it can also mislead them. Creator side AI supports teams building digital products. So developers, designers, QA, content creators. So it can help detect WCAG issues, suggest fixes, and review large content sets. So this is where teams are really feeling a big productivity boost. A lot of folks rushing into using this. It's definitely a way to be efficient and accelerate your accessibility. Some examples. Microsoft Accessibility Insights has an experimental AI tool that the experiments use AI to inspect UI patterns and accessibility properties early in design and development. Adobe has launched some pretty cool auto tagging with AI. So it uses AI to identify headings, lists, semantic structure, and apply them to PDFs to jumpstart your remediation. And then ChatGPT, I hesitated to put this one in, but one of the things we're seeing so commonly right now is folks using ChatGPT for WCAG interpretation. So they're pasting in code or content and getting AI suggestions for semantics, labels, clarity, alt text. So all these tools on the surface, they can dramatically reduce remediation and identification workload. But again, we have some limitations. AI can misinterpret WCAG rules. It flags issues that aren't real, so there's false positives in a lot of cases. It misses interaction problems and AT compatibility. So it can look at a screen and in that state make some decisions, make some suggestions, but seeing a whole user flow is still pretty difficult. And it can, create inaccessible code or content at scale. So when folks put too much trust in the AI tool and just kind of let it run on autopilot, there's situations where it can start pushing out inaccessible code, and no one's catching it because they're just trusting the AI. So this lane makes you faster, but it's important. It's not going to fully make things compliant. So one of the biggest shared challenges here, one of the biggest issues affecting both user side AI and creator side AI is bias. And we see this most commonly, most clearly in how AI handles disability related patterns that aren't well represented in its training data. So, for example, vision models routinely misidentify mobility devices because the data sets they're trained on contain very few accurate examples. So, a wheelchair might be labeled as a chair or a bike. Prosthetic limbs might get described as broken or missing. And this leads to AI generated alt text and scene descriptions that are not only wrong, but they're often erasing and mischaracterizing the disability altogether. We also see the same pattern in speech models. Most AI speech recognition struggles with atypical language. So things like stuttering, slurred speech, speech affected by cerebral palsy, stroke recovery, or deaf speech patterns. Because these voices aren't well represented in the training data, the AI forces them into the nearest normal category. So instead of producing accurate transcription, it guesses, it garbles, or it times out, making voice interfaces unusable for many folks who need them the most. And then this is why disability-led data sets, inclusive design, and human oversight are absolutely essential. When AI doesn't understand disability, it doesn't just make mistakes, it automates exclusion, oftentimes at scale. So, how to do it right? And, the answer isn't use AI less. That ship has sailed. Everyone's using AI. It's powerful. It's extremely helpful. So we believe the issue is use AI responsibly. And AI plus human in the loop is the model that works. So we still need manual WCAG interpretation. We still need assistive technology testing. We still need humans validating the AI outputs. So we're thinking of this as we approach an accessible web as AI can augment your accessibility expertise, but it's not going to replace it. And then another thing we really need to hit on here is to acknowledge is the disability tax. So this is the idea that people with disabilities are often expected to buy the newest, most expensive assistive technology just to participate equally. So AI should reduce that burden, not add to it. And we need to avoid the trap of thinking AI will fix it for the user, so creators don't need to worry about accessibility anymore. This has been really, really common thing that we hear from customers, potential customers, as the user side AI gets better and better. They're like, why do we need to do anything? Aren't screen readers just going to be all AI powered soon? And we don't have to worry about the code anymore. The screen readers are going to take care of it, or the Meta smart glasses are going to take care of it. So we really need to avoid this trap of thinking AI will fix it for the users. We don't need to worry about it. The user side AI can help, but it can't compensate for inaccessible design or code. Accessibility still needs to be built in from the source, because we don't want to force folks to have to use the newest, hottest technologies. We want them to arrive with the technologies that they have, that they're comfortable with, and we want them to have great experiences. And the future requires innovation on both sides, better assistive technology and better accessible experiences created by teams. Neither replaces the other. And if both sides can be working together, that's where we can really see some tremendous acceleration in digital inclusion. So the future of accessibility will be built by teams who embrace AI, not as a replacement for human expertise, but as a multiplier, as an accelerator. Human side AI, user side, sorry, AI will continue empowering people with disabilities in ways we could only imagine. It's certainly going to continue to accelerate. Really excited to see what happens on the user side. And creator side AI will help teams catch issues earlier. It's one of the biggest things. Do it early, scale the accessibility better, and embed accessibility into every step of your process. But the future won't belong to the organizations who adopt AI the fastest. This is one of the things we're being very careful with here is not just rushing into, slap a ChatGPT AI chatbot on everything and call it good, not just rushing to say, hey, we can ask ChatGPT how to do what WCAG issues exist on a page. The models just aren't there yet, but we want to help drive this in a responsible manner. So the future will belong to the organizations that adapt AI responsibly, transparently, and in partnership with the disability community. And that's it. Discussion time.
So much, Peter. That was super well said and balanced and informative. Yeah, so just a reminder, we're using the Zoom Q&A to take your questions, thoughts, suggestions from the audience. So feel free to drop them in there. And while we're waiting on that, we can maybe tease our next upcoming webinar on December 4th, where Gianna Barnhart and myself will be diving into a deeper look at the user side, pros and cons, as Peter touched on today. So stay tuned for that.
So Cameron in the Q&A says one use of AI with accessibility is using it to transcribe images of scanned PDF documents that other OCRs couldn't properly recognize. It is by no means perfect, but it does save a lot of time. You just need to go and read through and edit the text that it recognizes instead of rewriting from scratch. And then you can make that new document with the scanned and edited text accessible. Yeah, Cameron, this is this has come up a couple times recently. We actually went down a bit of a rabbit hole internally. We had a customer that asked for the best OCR for they were at a university and they were trying to work with a professor that had extremely sloppy handwriting and trying to find the best OCR tool. So there's certainly some pretty powerful ones out there right now. And they're getting better constantly. And one of the most interesting things as I was getting started in accessibility was just the learning about how the web, digital text, digital content was such a powerful thing for particularly the blind community when screen readers were available. So before, when everything was on paper, when it was all handwritten, uh, you had like the NFB news line that you had to call into to get the news, or you could maybe get a Braille version of your newspaper, but it was bulky, expensive. And when everything went digital, all of a sudden we had screen readers. It was widely available on the web, and screen readers could parse through that content. So um, certainly, the more handwritten PDFs and other documents as well. It's not just scanned PDF documents. The more we can get digitized, the better. And then on top of that, too, we always push folks to take the next step and turn PDFs into HTML code when possible. So if you can avoid making a document, definitely try to get it into HTML. It just unlocks a lot more functionality and ease of reading and navigating. Is there a current integration with AI and accessible web that we can use? Um, so not yet. This is where we are moving through this pretty cautiously. We have set up an AI statement generator. That was kind of one of our first things. Is we have an accessibility statement generator that you can find under the Compliance Center in Ramp. That was our first experiment, semi-low risk into building an accessible interface within Ramp, using OpenAI, that we could, just play with the interface and kind of the conversational style of an LLM, and then hooking in the different data that Ramp is seeing about websites, about the different organizations using it. We're very cautious around just rushing into suggesting code with AI, suggesting fixes with AI, finding problems with AI. So we use Axe Core within our systems, but at the core of Accessible Web Ramp, one of our most comprehensive tools is our manual audit tool, and it's really built with human interaction in mind, having a human leading the actual search for issues. So we are we are embracing this. We are kind of in the process of doing the next round of what other data can we use. And we're in a very good spot with AI where we have a long history of finding failures, writing remediation tasks. So we're in the process of building a tool, but with that statement generator, we're really making sure that the prompt management, that the output management, that allowing users to make feedback on whether or not they like something or don't like something, and how we have our internal team train a model once it's up and running. We're kind of currently experimenting with that so that when we do launch something more consequential and when people are making code updates based on our AI recommendations, we have a high degree of confidence that it's correct. I am curious to know if anyone is developing a tool that uses AI to review vendor accessibility conformance reports, uh, including summaries, highlighting inconsistencies and other red flags, and comparison against WCAG standards. I'm not sure, Nicole. This is a great question, though. And certainly, I'm going to make a note to email you after this. Certainly, if you are working in a space where you are in charge of reviewing ACRs, I would love to talk to you because this is a huge challenge right now, especially with all the ADA Title II requirements being, enforced coming up in April. Is there's a lot of folks in different organizations that are, being held, newly held to maybe a higher level of accessibility compliance. And it sounds like there's a lot of folks drowning in ACRs. I think this is a great example of where it's going to be really difficult to check and compare an ACR to an actual website or application, but I do have some ideas. I'm gonna get in touch via email and we can talk about this. This aligns with a new feature we're thinking about building here. Helen, excellent information. How does a team plan for the latest assistive technology using AI? Is it tracking the apps and software using AI that should be monitored? Um, Also, the point you made about the emphasis on overemphasis was on visual was well made. Heather, do you have any opinions on this? How a team should
Do in
kind of keep
fact.
track of AT?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's a great question. I'm glad you're thinking about it. Um, the short answer is be sure that you're engaging with people who use AT every single day to access your content, products, or services. They're the ones that are going to let you know what's working for them, what's not working for them, what makes things easier, what in fact may be billed as AI that's supposed to improve the user experience, but in fact is degrading it in some way. So by all means, keeping up to date on what's happening in that space. There are newsletters and email groups. There's lots of content out there related to all these developments, and it is rapid fire development right now. It is just a fire hose of new assistive technologies with AI implemented. But with that said, like the ones that are actually making impactful difference are probably like two or three at this point. So yeah, engage with your users early and often. And they're the ones that are going to be able to give you really put a finger on the pulse of what's going on.
You just have to talk to Heather. That's my hack for this is talk to Heather on a frequent basis. And lo and behold, she was the first one to roll into the office with Meta Smart glasses a few months back. So yeah, talk to your users for sure. And
And
Heather,
also I think, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just thought of one more thing, which is to say that your users are also likely going to tell you, and Peter touched on this earlier, that they don't necessarily want to have to learn the newest, latest, and greatest. It could be like every week at this point that you have to learn something. I happen to enjoy it. It's what I do for work and it's a hobby for me, but there are plenty of people who just literally want to get through their day and have access to things. And they don't, in fact, want to have to know where the cutting edge is. And so that's where just the baked in accessibility, things done right from the ground up, is going to really serve you. And you're going to be sure to reach all of your users that way.
got a couple more that are related, Heather, that I'm sure you have some good thoughts on. First one's how can companies create internal AI accessibility guidelines to ensure safe, bias-free implementation? And then related, what is some advice we can pass on to our teams and caution about using AI to find accessibility answers and guidance?
So I think with related to the first question, how to avoid bias is we all need to be mindful and supportive of how the models are being trained, what content they're being fed, and is it um, a model that is designed to deliver the type of content that you're looking for. This is a little bit beyond my depth, but we were talking about this at a meeting earlier, and Jewett, maybe you can clarify a little bit, but it did become pretty clear to me that there are different methods of training models and different models, AI models, in fact, and the type of output that you're getting can be highly dependent in its relevance to what you're looking for can be highly dependent on how it's being trained. And I would imagine that those strategies could start to help us shift away from bias. But also, like I think you mentioned earlier too, Jude, there's not a lot of unbiased content out there right now to even source to like train the models on. And so this may be something that just with intention and thoughtfulness, we can build over time, but we need unbiased quality content related specifically to assistive technology and, in fact, humans with disabilities living their life in the world.
I mean, this is what we're working on figuring out internally is feeding in all this content we have between our Accessible Web Academy, our historic remediation tasks, the different situations where errors pop up with automated scanning, where we find errors with manual auditing, and even with all this, the challenges that we're still working to make sure that even with all the training and the best intention and this data, things are still on occasion coming out wonky, and answers that we don't necessarily want to stand behind in situations where folks are implementing. I mean, accessibility is serious work, and we want to make sure we're doing it right. That's kind of our number one goal. So anyway, we still haven't quite got there, but I would say definitely avoid the the urge to just pop into ChatGPT and ask it some accessibility questions because there's ChatGPT, like there's this whole like LLM solve everything type of approach right now, and AI doesn't necessarily mean LLM. Like everyone thinks about Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT for kind of the layperson, but there's a lot of better tools out there for visual identification, for example. So anyway, make sure you're using the right tool, especially if you are a product team that's trying to implement AI into your product. Make sure you're really being thoughtful about what different models, what different tools you're using. It doesn't always have to be an LLM. Do you know any accessibility issues that AI consistently fails to detect that we humans must still prioritize? I mean, I think here it's about moving between different screens and creating actual like the process of purchasing an item. Um, so this is something that came up as we were talking. Heather and I were having a conversation about user testing and how to scope out user testing on an e-commerce website. And and her question for me was like, well, do you want me to just test like what scope do you need, Peter? Do you want to know how long it would take me to go to a web page and add a pair of size 8 white sneakers into my cart and complete the checkout? Or, just kind of bare bones, what's the process? Or do you want to do a user test of an actual purchase experience where I'm going to be comparing, I'm going to be looking at reviews, I'm going to be uh, maybe adding an item, removing an item because I found a better item, where I'm going to be looking for maybe a coupon code or a deal. And so one of the challenges here with AI is it just doesn't catch that human interaction, of that human experience of someone actually using your website or your application. So it's okay to use it for the easy stuff, the same way that Axe Core can catch 35% of issues. We definitely encourage our clients to use Axe Core. An automated scanner is one of the preliminary steps with upgrading accessibility, but you need to build on top of that with manual WCAG auditing, with a human auditor. And again, they can be augmented by some tools, but have a human auditor And then we always recommend capping off engagements with user testing so that you can make sure that folks using AI are having a great experience. So those two pieces, manual auditing and user testing, are where I just wouldn't, like, AI is consistently going to fail to detect issues. Do you foresee future regulations holding companies accountable for AI generated accessibility barriers? I think that yes, not even future regulations, but current regulations. So you are responsible for the content. You're responsible for your website or your software, and that includes everything on it. And so oftentimes we run into issues where we're helping a client audit and upgrade their software, for example, where they chose some third-party code or a graphing library or a mapping software that they embedded that doesn't have accessibility features built in. And even though it's not their, mapping software or their graphing library, they chose it, they put it on their website, and therefore they're responsible for that product. It's part of their website. So I don't see any reason why just because something is AI generated, it's an AI generated accessibility barrier, you're still going to be held accountable. So this is where it's not about future regulations. I think the current regulations are are already mandating this. And then the other question around like user side versus creator side, this gets to the question of, hey, do we even need to care about accessibility anymore, or is a Meta smart glass is going to solve this problem a year from now and everything's going to be perfect? The code won't matter. The books are already, the laws are already on the books. Um, they say that your website needs to meet WCAG. There's all sorts of requirements around the world. You need to meet WCAG. And so I wouldn't say it's about future regulations. If it is about future regulations, I would expect that future regulations are probably going to be aligned with current regulations that hold everyone with a website or digital property accountable to be accessible. And then hopefully we can continue to see acceleration on the user side AI to improve the assistive technologies.
Yeah, and if you think of it from the side of the user encountering that barrier, it does not matter who or how it was created, who created
Right.
or how it's still preventing me from being able to complete a transaction or access information or service or whatever the case may be. So um, and we covered a lot of ground here today. I don't know if we have any more questions, but if you're still with us, thank you so much for hanging in there. And I think a good thing to remember maybe with all of this that has been said is to say that whatever your entry point to accessibility is, whether it was legal, moral, ethical, increasing your market share, whatever the case may be, accessibility work is about improving human experiences and equitable access. And so when we think about how to conduct that work, we want to do things that make it more efficient and more accurate and is ultimately improving human experience. And I don't think that any sort of AI at this point is going to get us there. So it's really a human to human type of work. And that's what we want to keep our focus on as we experiment and learn and incorporate these new tools that will hopefully make it easier and better and more efficient for everybody involved.
Perfect closing, Heather. All right, well, good. No more questions. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We're
Yeah,
off
thank
next
you. And
week as a reminder for Thanksgiving here in the US, and then we'll be back with another AI topic first week of December. Thanks, all.
thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Heather.
Bye. Thanks.